All right, what is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Rise Over Run. Doug Barnett, Brant Choate. How are we?
I'm great.
I'm good.
Hey, let's talk about your drink situation for a second, though.
It's a real problem.
You have 4 drinks by you.
Why are there
Do you
4
want to show
drinks?
everybody? Or do
Well,
you want to talk about them?
So, usually when I come into the office, this is getting into all of the bad parts of me. I just will never remember a water bottle. So we have cans of water in the fridge, and I get a can of water in the morning, and I walk to my desk, and there were already 3 open cans of water on my desk this morning, but they were like half full. But I was also hungry, so I wanted a Fairlife.
Because
And
that makes you less hungry.
And I need a little bit of energy for the podcast, so I had a Red Bull, which I don't normally, except for the podcast, when I drink Red Bull.
So Doug has 4
So I
drinks by
have
his
2
chair.
waters, a Red Bull, and a Fairlife. So get on my level.
Will that last you throughout this podcast?
Hopefully, I'll probably have to pee mid podcast.
Awesome. Okay, what do you guys want to talk about today?
Nothing.
I've got a thought. Here's Doug's post from yesterday on LinkedIn. We're going to start there.
Okay.
Is that okay? Then that'll kick things off. 2 Utah founders who are actually building, stop attending startup events, tech weeks, and slope schools. Your customers aren't there, product market fit is not there, real networking is not there. They're a distraction to the goal. I know this post seems unsupportive, but I believe it's the opposite. People are lying to you, saying these things will help you. Did that get a lot of comments and reactions, or how did people feel about that?
People hate me.
Tell us your thought process behind posting it, and then let's dig into it a little bit deeper.
I've been thinking about this a lot, generally, about like, how should I express my opinions, both publicly to our team. And I think that the last 5 years, it was very popular to just always not offend anyone, which means you don't take a stance about anything. And I don't like the outcomes from that period of time. And so I've decided, like, I want to state an opinion, and I want to like have a side, and I want to think through the side, and I want to very clearly know why I believe something. But you guys know, like, my opinions are generally fairly loosely held. And I can be moved off them if you're going to convince me in a very good way, in a convincing way, that I'm wrong. But I saw something yesterday that kind of triggered me, and I'm like, I'm so over people going to these events. The people generally that are putting on these events are doing it for a very good reason. They're building a business. But you going to the event doesn't build your business, I don't think. And so that's not a very popular opinion, because people like going to events because they see people, and Utah is a very social place. Most people, I think, are going to these things fairly regularly, and man, it really pissed people off, even suggesting that it's not going to help people go to these events. I'm getting tagged in all these other posts now of like, hey, we're having this event. Hey, Doug Barnett, FYI, founders are invited. Okay, fine. Invite them. I don't care. Just giving you my opinion.
I think it's great. And Brant, I mean, you guys went through YC, but when you put together like what YC identified as like the most common time wasting activity, number 1 was attending non-essential events and meetings. So tell us your thoughts on that.
I think they share the same opinion, and especially in a place like San Francisco, there's probably like 10 times more distractions. The message is not that controversial to me. It's just, if your core objective in going to the events is to somehow increase the success of your business or the chance of success, you're not going to find it there. If you're going to like hang out or have friends or have a drink or whatever it is, cool.
Great.
But if someone is pitching an event to you, or, you know, an accelerator, or what, not an accelerator, but like a, you know, some kind of gathering that is going to like increase the chance of you finding product market fit, that they just don't really exist. You have to kind of find that on your own. So I think that's like, you know, for anyone that pays attention to YC or like the startup community as a whole, this is like a very non-controversial take. But that's like a group of people trying to build multi-billion-dollar businesses. And there's probably groups of people that are reacting to this that are somewhere down the spectrum of, outcomes that they're after.
That was a big surprise to me when we talked to a lot of people in other businesses, and so many people go to so many events. I did not, it's a big thing. People go to events like monthly, bi-weekly, like it's crazy. And I always wondered, what are people getting done at these events? And we've been to a couple, and I think there's a time and place for them, though. We're trying to get into a certain channel with Remy, and we went to an event. And actually, that's not a good example, because as soon as we got off the plane, you're like, that was a huge waste of my time. But there is a time and a place for them. If you're trying to grow your business and trying to meet people in a certain industry at the right place who you want to talk to, that's valid.
This is the problem. People are like, it's like, please have some nuance. Yeah, I'm not a donkey. I understand that events can be helpful. If you're selling into an audience, an event, go to events. Go to as many as you possibly can. That makes total sense. Of course you should do that. If you believe that your ICP is at these places, you should go to events. But if you believe that you are going to get some magic bullet or learning from an event that's going to help you find product market fit, you won't. The only way you're going to find it is talking to your customers. And if you are not at the event to talk to customers, it's going to be really hard for you to find product market fit at an event.
Let's break down what actually happens. You show up to an event, and there may or may not be a speaker, but there's this initial phase. You walk in the door, and there's a whole bunch of people just kind of milling around. And then you scan the room, and you're like, do I know anybody already? If you know someone, you end up just talking to them, and it's like, oh, I could have called you or texted. Yeah, you don't have to do it there. If you don't, maybe they're standing next to some people that, they introduce you to, and you get to know someone that you didn't know before, but it's just this complete game of chance. It's like you walk into a door and hope that the dice roll, comes out to what you're expecting, and the odds are just 1 in a million that something good comes out of it.
I'm in a founder group, and we get together. Yeah. That's super valuable. Talk to people who are in the arena with you, brainstorm,
there's
shoot
structure,
ideas.
There's a stated purpose to it. There's, what you're going to get out of it.
Or, hang out with other people that are in the field. Great. That's great. Make friends. Great reason to go. Brant and I spent the first year of this company in a basement. Some days I wanted to rip my hair out. Would we have liked to go to something that would have been fun and to go meet? Sure. But the other thing here that I think is vastly misunderstood from the audience that heard what I said, the word founder, I think, is misconstrued in our state. I don't think that is true in San Francisco. It's very clear what a founder is. But I think people think that a founder in Utah means you're an entrepreneur. That is not what I'm saying. A year ago, we could have easily paid off our investors, hired less than half the team that we have today, and been running a very successful lifestyle business. We chose to re-up and raise a very large Series A round of financing, and because we want to build a multi-billion-dollar company. That is psycho. That's really hard. And the only way that you do it is you have to be maniacally focused. And so when I say founders shouldn't go to events, especially if you don't have product market fit, you shouldn't be doing anything else. Have you guys done anything in your career that's harder than looking for a product with product market fit?
No.
Not
It
even
is
close.
the hardest thing that I've done by 100 times. And it required every single thought, every single an obsession that was not healthy. And building a multi-billion-dollar company is not healthy. I couldn't sleep last night. This is for sick people. This is not what most people should do. And I said in the post, 2 founders actually building, meaning, are you trying to build a multi-billion-dollar company? Then you shouldn't do extracurricular things. You have to have this focus that is not normal. People don't like that.
Brent, what are some other things that you as far as like YC or when you were looking this up, what else does YC say like, hey, this is time wasting activities for founders? What suck up the most time for founders that are not essential or just super distracting?
I mean, I think one other one that's sort of related to what we're talking about is social media. It's real easy to, whether you're posting or not, to get like pulled into the vortex of Twitter, most commonly in the tech world. LinkedIn is, a little bit there, but I think like getting pulled into that ecosystem, and then, the algorithm in tech kind of all turns into the same thing for everyone. So if like a topic really catches fire in the tech industry, then everyone starts to see it. And if you're building and everyone starts talking about the same thing, then you feel like you have to go somehow incorporate that into what you're doing. But as a founder, you're doing something that is like non-consensus. And so it's this like weird juxtaposition that you get stuck in where you're like, I need to be non-consensus, but everyone's talking about AI right now, and how do I make my company AI friendly or incorporated in some way? I think that's like a really dangerous trap that I see a lot of people get stuck in. And what it leads to is they can't focus on anything for long enough. They'll go build like a, week's worth of features and see the new thing on Twitter come out, and they're like, oh, I need to change this. And this happens at like multiple layers of the company. It can happen at like tech stack changes, and the newest JavaScript package comes out that I need to put into my app. It comes in like industry-wide trends, AI being one of them. It comes with stuff like there's this new way to like structure your company where no one has a title. I mean, I saw this one this morning. And so people get like twisted on all these things that once again have nothing to do with finding product market fit.
Or once you have product market fit, like growing the company.
Yeah. Yep.
The social media one is tricky too, because as a founder, having an audience is actually very valuable.
Yeah.
And so, but also we have a few of these in our YC batch that have these really good audiences and no business.
Yep.
And are like, are you just an influencer? Like, is that what you are now? And so there's like this really tricky balance to figure out there. It's not easy because it can be very valuable to have, but it's also, it will suck your mind.
Yeah. Like doing this podcast is like a tricky balance. Like I think all of us know there's, more time or effort we could put in, or we could do better at like posting clips, or we could all that stuff. And if pushed too far, you end up having like half of your brain consumed with the latest series of comments that people left on your thing, and can't do the work.
And to that point, we had, when we went up to that university to speak, someone's like, hey, if you guys are building something so amazing, why are you guys doing a podcast? And that's for people listening. They'll be like, these guys are saying events is a waste of time. Why would you do a podcast? What would your response be to that?
Well, why do we do a podcast? People don't understand. They think it's, why do I post on LinkedIn? This is not like random. There's real thought been put into why we should do this, because I sure as hell don't want to post on LinkedIn. I hate myself every time I do post on LinkedIn.
I was telling you earlier, you're becoming a personality.
I don't want to be a personality, but I do it because the number one thing that I'm aiming at is to try to build a generational company. And I think people they want to hear from me.
But there's purpose behind it, and like we're doing this so people internally can see how we feel about issues, or we do it for people who are hiring so they can get to know us better. It's just like events. If you have like a clear purpose and like an ROI, like you're going there for a specific reason, and you have like put a lot of thought into it, I'm great with it. Great.
So
just to kill time and like say I'm amazing and I'm starting a company to be around other people, total waste of time.
It is.
What'd you call it? LARPing?
That's LARPing. It's sort of the thick of thin things. It's like you're just doing things to do them. But all of these things, let's go back to events for a second. I'm speaking at an event tomorrow. This is the first public event that any of us have ever spoke at since starting Remy, the very first one. And, I got criticized, like, well, not for me, but for thee, this advice. I'm getting all these people that are learning me up. Well, why am I doing it? Why? Well, let me tell you why. Because we're trying to hire people. And so hopefully there's some future Remy employees in the audience tomorrow. That is the entire purpose. Why did I go to a dinner last night? Because I was with my family. We went to go see the lights. That's why. I went to an event in New York City a few weeks ago. Why? Well, because there were 3 founders speaking that I really wanted to hear from and learn from. And to be honest with you, there wasn't a single other person at that event that I even talked to. Casually, but nothing like, I wasn't networking. There were a lot of people networking at that event. That was not what I was doing. I was there to go learn, took a lot of notes. Turns out it was public anyway. I probably didn't need to go, but I didn't know that going in. I didn't know they were going to publish all that going in. So and then LinkedIn, this podcast. Why are we doing the podcast? Because we want the future employees of Remy to know who we are, how we think, what it's like to work here before they get here. And it's helping us recruit. And that's why we post on LinkedIn. That's the entire purpose. So it's like bearing our strategy, but if you're doing this stuff with intention and thought, and I'm not saying we're perfect, there's like a million things we're doing wrong. You just got to be thoughtful and doing it with intention, and then do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, I think you're criticizing the misalignment of intention with these events. Once again, if your intent is to find customers or somehow progress your business, you won't find it at the event.
Probably.
Yeah.
Unless your ICP is there and you're literally selling at the event.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is what the people hosting the event are doing.
Yep.
I got one of the guys in the comments yesterday. He's like, events are so valuable. We found our lawyer at the event. We found our accountant at the event. Yeah, good for them. They were selling at the event. But you didn't make revenue. You spent money. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I think boiling it down, intention and strategy have to be involved in every single one of your activities. Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
I think the other valid criticism of going to events is people use it as a way to replace like momentum or
Real
progress, real work, whatever. And it's I don't know, it's like a sugar high of sorts. Like you feel good going because you learned some new insight and you came back and told it to your team. But we've all like made this mistake actually, and it doesn't matter. So
speaking of sugar highs, like completely different topic on like wasting time. A funding announcement is not success.
Yeah. It's
not progress. It's not anything other than a continuation of the journey.
And that's a great point. Talk about that for a second. We almost didn't announce it when we did it. Like I didn't want to announce it.
We announced it for one reason. What was it?
Hire people.
That's it. We wanted people to have more confidence in the company and help us hire. It's like a real purpose.
We talked a lot about that though. When we should do it, if we should do it. That was like a big decision.
It was a big decision. And we weren't going to announce we were going to wait months. And then we're like, crap, we got to
hire some people quickly.
We got to get hiring, and we think this can help us.
And it did.
And it did.
It did a lot.
It did. Of course it did. There are some people that like, I did it. I got to Series A. That's not a success post at all. It's just like, this is a milestone on the way to, and one of the things that is in my DNA is I want to stop being a startup as soon as we possibly can and to be a going concern. And the going concern makes money all the time. And we are judged not off our future success, but off of our P&L and our balance sheet. And this is why I don't want to talk at these events. I even struggled to think people want to listen to us on this podcast is because I don't think we've done anything yet relative to what we're trying to do. We haven't done anything. And so I feel like a little bit of a poser even just talking about this stuff, because I don't think there's really a lot of reason for people to listen to me yet. I'd rather go listen to Brian Chesky. That guy's done a lot. Or Eric Lyman. That guy's done a lot.
The only thing that makes sense that we keep saying over and over is we want people to know how we think and what it's like to work with us. Because at the end of the day, if someone comes and works here, their whole life kind of gets dictated by those things. Not their whole life, but a significant portion, because they spend most of their time at work, and the way we think influences what their work's like. So, yeah, we haven't like made it, but the way that we think is, gonna be a heavy influence in folks' lives.
Maybe we should just actually say the truth on the podcast. In every single late stage interview that I have been a part of in the last 3 months, this podcast has come up.
Yep.
Really?
Every single one.
Yep, like the last 30.
Yep. And that was the point. That's the point of our hiring page. It's the point of doing this podcast, is for the people that get into our funnel. If they like what they hear on this podcast, we want them to come work here because we want people that think like we do. And I was like, well, this is groupthink. This is monoculture. Yeah, it is. That's kind of the point. We have an opinion, we have a way we see the world, and we're going after it. And the people that like that vision, come along.
But I do think if you think about your comment on like, I think I'm a poser because we haven't done anything, think about back to like 2 years or how long ago? 2.5 years ago? Like if you were to go and talk to someone who had just closed a Series A, kind of has some momentum, that could be valuable. Like you go to see who people you want to become a little bit like that's why you want to go see Brian Chesky. I bet Brian Chesky 2 years in is like, why are people listening to me? But
Probably.
There's always people who it's like, I'm just starting a company. I don't know what it's like to close a Series A. This guy's actually been through a lot of what I haven't been through. I think it's valuable to people, very valuable. And hopefully valuable to Remy because there'll be some hires there.
That's what I'm hoping
So
for.
if we don't leave with 3 hires, failure.
It's even less about hires, but like, people are like, why are you talking, if your whole purpose is hiring, why are you talking to founders? Okay, well, just spend a little time with me. Think about it just for a second. Oh, because we hire former founders. We have some that are we love them. They bring an incredible amount of vigor and understanding to our team. They're some of our most valuable teammates are former founders that work here, and we're going to hire many more. The sad truth of it is most of these startups will fail. I wish that wasn't true, but it is true. And when there is nobody who has more empathy for a founder whose startup failed than me, because I freaking know how hard it is and how close we were to death so many times.
The interesting thing is as a failed founder, you spend so long trying to get someone to just care about what you're doing that when you flip that switch back on and you work at a place like Remy and people really want what we have, they just light up again.
It's like lightning in their veins.
Yeah, the energy's back, and all of the versatility and talents they developed along the way become more obvious to them. And I think it's just this like virtuous cycle that is great for us and great for them.
Yeah, I agree. It's a win-win situation.
They appreciate it a lot more too.
Yeah.
Just because they've been through it and they know exactly how hard it is to make any progress at all.
And
they're the most grateful
the
employees.
most likely scenario, I think, is they're going to go back out there again.
Hopefully.
They'll do it. Most likely, they will go back out and try to be a founder again.
And we're very clear though here. Like if you do that, amazing.
That's what
Like, we would love
that's
that.
actually part of what we talk about. Look, I'm gonna say this tomorrow, so like it's gonna be repetitive. We are the way that I phrase is we are unapologetic red-blooded capitalists, because on the other side of building a very valuable company that's based on its P&L and its balance sheet is you have this valuable thing that's worth something, and you sell it either into the public market, into an investor base, into a strategic whatever. And the people in the company get rich. And what do people that get rich do? And I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about all of our people are stockholders. Well, what do? People don't care about being rich. I really don't think that's true for the most part. Narcissists maybe. But Most of the people at Remy, they don't care about getting rich. What they care about is taking care of their family with security. Like the future is safe. And freedom. I get to do what I want to do. And on the other side of safety and freedom is usually, for most people here, not sitting on the beach. It is starting something, which then creates more jobs and creates future opportunity. And so for me, it's like the most virtuous thing you could possibly do is to create a valuable company. We have this duty to do right by the idea. And the fact that we do have a product that has product market fit, and we have a really great team, and we need to take care of them. And the best thing we can do to take care of them is to work our asses off to do right by the idea. And that's why I get passionate about, don't waste your time. Like, you have real people's money that have invested in you, in your company, and you have a duty to take care of that. Boiling it all down, like, you got to go get product market fit. And then once you have it, you got to like go as hard as you can at that thing. And that's why it's not us being critical of how people spend their time. It's doing right by the things that you've signed up to do. And entrepreneurs have not signed up for this. Founders have signed up for this. Entrepreneurs can do whatever they want. That's the point of being an entrepreneur and running a lifestyle business. Do whatever you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. We have to answer to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
We got a lot of daddies, a lot of mommies.
A lot of people. We talk about a lot of ways to waste your time as a founder, things to avoid. Hopefully we help people figure out what to actually spend their time on. Hope to see you guys next time.
See ya.
Yeah.